Being a Niana member, we get to contribute to sharing best practices, to sharing information, developing ways of improving our processes and our communication. The collaborative nature of the industry, working with everybody, provides real benefit.
Hey, supply chainers, wherever you are in the world, this is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey with you today. Are you ready? Let's talk supply chain. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thoughts and Coffee. I'm still a little bit under the weather from last week, as you can probably hear it in my voice, but I'm super excited to be here with you today. Audrey Ross is joining me, and we've got some fun articles. I don't know how I did it, but they're mostly the Hustle articles and HubSpot, and we're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. But of course, we could not have this show without our sponsors. So what are your business's supply chain challenges? You know, too much inventory on hand, too many disruptions and stockouts. Are there just too many steps and touch points involved? Well, Fastenal can actually tailor a solution from automated bins that monitor your inventory 24/7 to vending devices that help you track and control the products that keep your business running. Go to fastenal.com/LTSC to see how. Fastenal, where industry meets innovation. All right, we've got a lot to talk about today. So we've got a brand new episode with Bloom Global. That's right. Pravinder was on the show just a few weeks ago, and we made the huge announcement that they had been acquired by WiseTech. Now, this particular conversation took place at Manifest, and we took a deeper dive into what Bloom Global actually does and how they're helping the end-to-end supply chain. So you want to go and check this out. We've had some amazing feedback on this. It's episode 330. Wherever you subscribe to the show, you can also go over to Let's Talk Supply Chain as well to listen and watch it. Last Tuesday, I don't know if you were able to join us for this. We've had a lot of great reactions on this one as well. Rise Above the Disruption. David Vallejo from SAP joined me to talk about disruption, talk about risks, talk about how we're going to move forward in supply chains. So we've put the link in the comments. Go and check it out. It was a really, really great discussion. What else have we got going on? Oh, so this Thursday, we have a special episode coming to you for special delivery with Farai. It's happening at 10 a.m. Eastern. Now, this is their last episode with us, and we've got a special guest host. That's right. Jonathan Kempe of Let's Talk Supply Chain Asia Pac is hosting this episode with Sanjeev from Amway. So come and join us live at 10 a.m. Eastern on Thursday. And what else is happening? Oh, so I don't know if you guys know about this, but we have a brand new brand called the Secret Society of Supply Chain. Now, this is our membership arm. And so what we want you to do is we want you to go to the link in the comments and take the quiz. Now, the quiz is going to determine which group is right for you. And we have 3 groups that you can fall into. Some of them are going to be monthly meetups. Some of them are going to give you exclusive content that you can't get anywhere else. And once you're done taking the quiz, you're going to join the wait list. And in just a few days, we've had over 100 signups for the Secret Society of Supply Chain. And some of these groups have limited seats. So if you want to be part of the groups, definitely go and take the quiz, join the wait list, and we will get in touch with you. All right, what else happened? I don't know if you know, but we had a brand new episode of Blended come out. It's episode 30, Breaking the Class Ceiling. So we're talking about classism. And Courtney, Christine, Elise, we had a great conversation, and Amanda, we had a great conversation about classism, and it went in so many different directions. So if you listened to it, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't listened to it, definitely go and check that out. And now yesterday, I spoke to the team at Keurig Dr Pepper about my journey as a woman in supply chain. I was at the tail end of their International Women's Month talking about my journey. They asked amazing questions. I spoke to their whole entire team, but I really got a chance to speak to their supply chain teams as well. So just want to give a shout out to them because I really enjoyed it and want to say thank you for having me. All right. Well, without further ado, it is time to bring up Miss Audrey Ross. Hello, Audrey.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. Lighting issues, It's fine.
I have lighting issues
It's
every
fine.
week.
It's my birthday week.
It is your birthday week. I want to say we've got it on the ticker right now. Tomorrow is your birthday. So I want to celebrate you today because you're on Thoughts and Coffee, and we can do that publicly at the moment. So what are your big plans? Happy birthday for tomorrow.
No, it's very quiet plans because I don't
All
know.
right. Well, and I think we're getting together on Sunday, right?
Get a massage and
Self-care.
a lot of self-care. And then I'm having a little party on Sunday. So we're gonna do like a little brunch lunch thing with some of my friends. So yeah.
I am so excited to celebrate you. So anyways, happy birthday. But for anybody who doesn't know you, why don't you give us a bit of an introduction before we get into everything else?
Yeah, so it's my birthday tomorrow and I'm in Aries. I'm Audrey Ross. My current role is the import and export compliance manager at Orchard Custom Beauty. We're an award-winning business-to-business private labeling company, and we specialize in cosmetics, beauty tools, and bath accessories. So that keeps me busy because I do a lot of international trade and global shipping. Right now, I'm doing a lot of FDA code forms. So if you're in the audience, you do those too. Solidarity, because they're quite a fun task. So what else keeps me busy? I was just at camp over the weekend with my Girl Guides. So they're 9 to 12-year-olds, kids who, we had a fun time at our first camp, sort of post pandemic. Yeah.
And I think they call them Girl Scouts in the US, right?
In the US and in other countries too. That's in some countries it's Girl Guides, and in some countries it's Girl Scouts, but we're all the same organization. So there is a World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts that we're all part of, and supporting development of girls all over the world.
Awesome. I love that. So Denise over on my personal page says, happy birthday, Audrey. I'm wondering if the comments are working on our Let's Talk Supply Chain LinkedIn, but I guess we will see in just a few minutes. So let's talk about the poll of the week.
Yes.
So the question that we asked you guys, did you get any professional degree to work in supply chain? Now, this was a fun conversation. We had 581 votes. 49% of you said university degree. 35% of you said courses and work experience, which is where I would live. Because right after high school, I went into the family business. I did all of my courses by correspondence, night classes, things like that. 11% of you said college degree and 5% of you said other, which I'll go through the comments in a minute. But Audrey, what did you think about this? Where would you land?
Yeah, I think it was a great poll because we've talked about this with other guests and with other people in our industry, how so many of us sort of stumbled into supply chain. It wasn't like, oh, I'm 12 years old and I'm like, I'm going to be a logistics manager when I grow up. So I think a lot of us, have a variety of different educations, but I think, it seems like a lot of us kind of came into it as we started working. And so that was the same for me. I started working. I was taking a degree in political science. I kind of abandoned that, got my job. I was doing a variety of different activities. And then I decided to take some courses on freight forwarding and customs and letters of credit and all the things I was sort of doing in my day-to-day that I needed a bit more support from. I wasn't surprised to see that there was, quite a few people doing like the courses thing, because I feel like a lot of the people I've met sort of did the work and, and school at the same time, because we're all, we're sort of all, I find in supply chain, like everybody's very curious, people are lifelong learners. It's not like, oh, I learned this thing, I'm good to go. Like, because supply chain is always changing. So we're always kind of adapting ourselves as well.
Well, I also think too, that there's an echo. I don't know why there's an echo all of a sudden. Anyways, we're going to keep going. I also find that a lot of times when we get into a certain section of supply chain, there's little nuances that we need to learn more about. Like you said, letter of credit, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody in supply chain needs to learn more about letter of credit, but if it's something that you're doing on a day-to-day basis and you need to learn more about it, then it's a course that you need to go and take. And so there's these nuanced courses, right?
Yeah.
Even like I was talking to somebody the other day about freight class and freight pricing and different things like that, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that even if you do get a college or university degree, there's still these nuanced courses that you're still going to have to take throughout your
More
career in
job
supply chain.
specific.
Yeah.
Or role specific, for sure. And then depending on the systems that you might take, sometimes it's sort of formal through an academic provider, but then sometimes there's things like, LinkedIn. I mean, you've done a sustainability series on LinkedIn. Our friend Dan has, the supply chain for dummies sort of text that we all kind of refer to. So I think there's also these community or these market resources as well, and thinking outside of some of the academic paths too.
Well, and I also think too, some of these associations and memberships, just like we just launched with Secret Society, right? Is these memberships, and you're not just learning necessarily from a course, you're learning from other people and your peers.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is so valuable.
So
I thought it was interesting. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Okay. Some of the comments that we got from the poll: Karina, growth and development within my organization with MBA completed in health administration, which is really interesting. Khalil, CIPS program. Portia says diploma in business administration, major in supply chain management. And that's really interesting because I know there's a few people that work with me at Let's Talk Supply Chain that have both. Like somebody has a marketing degree, I think, and then also a supply chain management degree as well. I don't know how that all fits out because I didn't go to
if they did it concurrently or if they did it. Yeah, I know.
I don't know how that whole thing works, but I think the 49% of people with a university degree is actually quite cool, right? Because majority of us at our age really fell into supply chain, but now we're actually seeing more university degrees and all that kind of stuff. So why don't you give everybody a bit of a market update? What are we seeing? What are you seeing? What are things that people need to consider or maybe be aware of in supply chain at the moment?
For sure. Well, blank sailings,
They're still a thing?
Oh, they're gonna be the thing. They're gonna be the thing this year. It seems. I'm not maybe as reliable at predicting as Lars Jensen, but I feel like that's going to be the thing. So really, really focusing, I have to spend time on what my forecasts are going to look like. And especially as a shipper that does a lot of LCL, trying to understand what's coming week to week so that we can consolidate a little bit better. And so that, based on timing, if a vessel just isn't available that week and we get rolled onto something else, that's fits in our timeline. So, it's just a little bit more effort there. We are seeing strikes. So France is having really cross sector strikes in France.
Right.
So Le Havre is sort of shut down. We had some customers, concerned if we were routing through that way and could we route somewhere else, but we route through Rotterdam. But then earlier this week, what day is it? Hamburg is on strike, or was doing last week from Wednesday to Friday. They did a preview strike. So they were sort of, here's a little sample of what this would feel like if we went full out. And so you do have the sort of concern that, especially in Europe, it's the different countries, but geographically they're a lot closer than somewhere like Canada. So you have the concern that Rotterdam will be yeah, we're also going to see what a port strike would look like. And Antwerp might do the same thing, just in solidarity with the labor conditions. So it's definitely on my radar. You're kind of keeping an eye on who else. We did see some significant strikes in the UK ports last year as well. So it's sort of keeping attuned to what that market is. I have to check with our friend Peter Tershwell to see how the ILWU is doing in California. Those negotiations started in May of 2022. And as far as I can tell, they haven't actually settled the contract. It doesn't seem to have gotten to the point of strikes or work action, but I mean, that's still a potential.
It's hanging over your head.
It just is always there.
Right?
It's always there. A lot of people really did the diversion. A lot of people really moved their stuff over to the East Coast ports, so now their routine is going to the East Coast ports, which by sea is a little bit longer, but maybe it's, it's a little more cost effective. It's a little bit better on emissions, lots of reasons why people choose their ports. The West Coast is in Canada. So coming through Vancouver, we're still seeing the CP rail issues. We're still seeing congestion. And of course, we were seeing it because of sort of labor issues, warehouse clearing issues, trucking issues here in sort of Toronto, Montreal. So we've been seeing that throughout, it's been a really long time, like from July through that last quarter. And then what happens is, December through March, we have significant weather in Canada. So you have these weather issues sort of with the snow piece, but then as we get into the spring, we have the weather issue of the melt, right? So we have these melting conditions that we're dealing with. So a lot of stuff going on, lots of changes around transshipping, depending on where you're going, but the volumes seem to be down. So the congestion isn't as much of an issue, but we're still seeing the seamlessness of where your things are going inland in a variety of different countries that's the piece that's more congested.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up Lars. I'm going back to the beginning of your market update. So Lars is on a 3-person vessel right now, I think, going from Antarctica to South America or something like that. He's on an amazing trip that he told us about at TPM. Now, before we get into our articles, Benita, I see that you say, can you tell us a little bit more about the secret society? Or is it a secret? It's definitely not a secret. So we put the comment or the link in the comments. Go and check it out. It is membership based. There's 3 different groups. You take a quiz to see which group is right for you, and then you join the wait list, and we'll be launching those very, very soon. So make sure you go and solidify your spot. All right, let's talk about the first article. So this article, fewer movie screens, more fun stuff. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck does this have to do with supply chain? Well, let me tell you, warehouse space just got that much more popular. And you might think that you don't have any competition, or at least your competition is other retailers. Well, your competition in this particular space and with this particular article are pajamas and popcorn, food truck courts, and shoptainment. So apparently the movie industry is actually looking at warehousing space to turn into shoptainment areas. So that includes food, that includes cinemas, that includes a lot of entertainment that they want to bring together for folks to go to. And so I was thinking that warehousing space is actually quite limited already. And you bring this on top of it, you really need to understand who your competition is in the moment when you are looking for warehousing space and what that actually means to your business. So Audrey, what did you think about this? Are you there?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge. I think, we're all fighting for some of the same space, and depending on what kind of project work you're doing, you could have greater warehouse needs than others. I don't know if we're going to see, we are seeing a clearing out at this stage of the high volumes that everybody had sort of brought in last year. So I don't know if people are going to start increasing that. But there are different business models. So this is one of them, sort of using a completely unrelated business using up the warehouse space. But then there's also, with all of this large inventory that we flooded into the market, there's a lot more potential for returns, right? And how we're going to deal with returns or goods that need repair. So warehouse, it's interesting. And nobody really wants to build like this big empty space and have it unused. So.
Yeah, and I it'll be interesting to see what it does to the market, again, talking about the limited space in warehousing, people, I think the last time I looked at it, it was 18 months to be able to build your own warehouse or even get some warehousing space. And
Yeah.
so you bring this on top of it, where people are using warehousing space for shoptainment, where those particular places could have potentially been turned into a warehouse to hold inventory, which we desperately need at the moment. And I think that we're probably going to run into a few issues as far as competition, but not where you think it's going to be coming from. So thought that article was really interesting and wanted to let everybody know when they're looking for warehouse space who their competition actually is. All right. Well, our second article is about subscriptions. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this. I think this is way more prominent in the US at the moment. I don't know if we have as many subscription options here in Canada. But what's happening is that the restaurants are hopping on the subscription bandwagon, and these subscriptions are monthly fees that they're charging people either for unlimited drinks, which I thought was really cool, or it's free delivery and priority reservations. Now, I read this and I was thinking about, obviously Secret Society of Supply Chain membership. There's all sorts of subscription fees that we all have. They actually say that each person has about $200 a month in subscription fees at the moment, and it's only going to get we're actually only going to spend more on that. And then it made me think about, okay, well, those kind of make sense, but could we turn subscription into supply chain? So while I was thinking about this restaurant subscription service, talking about free delivery and priority reservations, it got me thinking about ports and terminals. If we had a subscription fee that people were buying into potentially that could give you, priority reservations potentially over everybody else, or if you have a certain amount of deliveries on a regular basis, could we be doing this in the supply chain? What do you think, Audrey?
I think that's a very entrepreneurial suggestion, but and I love that you think that way. Like it's I can see that people think that way, but I think the ports typically, maybe not so much now, maybe they're privately owned, but ports are kind of a public good. So I think identifying infrastructure that's public good, I think a push would be to improve them so that they're more seamless, not let them stay clunky so that people want to pay a subscription to just bump the line, right? Like I think there's sort of the crux of the problem at ports is that they're not really functioning for anyone. And so then to bring in like, oh, you can pay more and you get service, doesn't really fundamentally solve the problem of the ports.
True.
In that
You might
sense,
give them more money to pay for software
potentially
or technology. I don't know.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, companies could pay a bit more in taxes, individual, but like it's the kind of thing with one of like Elon Musk has all these ideas. Some of them are very interesting, some of them are disruptive, and they encourage other people to have ideas. But one of the ideas was like, oh, we're going to build this like a hyperloop, or like we're going to build this transit that's everyone just in their own car. You're like, that just adds more cars and solves it for one person. Whereas public transit, yes, you're sharing with 30 people, but that's more effective, right? So I don't know. But I think this idea of subscriptions is fascinating because, being able to, it's just another level of companies offering service, but then getting paid for it. Whereas before it was like people would, and maybe have the expectation that, my expectation is that when I use a port, they're going to have a certain level of service. And then you don't really want to see like, oh, now we're going to charge you for the service that you used to get. And it's sort of same with restaurants. Like they used to have loyalty cards where it's like, oh, if you came here frequently, you'd get a reward. And now it's like, if you pay us, we'll give you service that you used to get with the loyalty card.
That's like, true.
Like, I get it. Like, it's a good idea because it gets them the consistent funds, right? So they have a reliability, right? And people forget about, like, if you're charging them, what was the PF Chang's one, like $6 a month? You're going to forget about that fee for sure. But then it does become, some customers are like, wait, like pre-pandemic, I had a loyalty card where if I came 6 times, you gave me a free drink. Now I have to pay you $6 a month to get the free drink. Like, I don't know.
I
It's a
hear
fine
you.
balance.
Maybe
You'd have to have this. It's a really fine balance of like making it so enticing that people forget the fact that 5 years ago you gave me stuff for free because I came frequently, as opposed to I just pay you more money. So I don't know.
right.
I
Maybe
don't know.
maybe the loyalty card is the idea over the subscription fee. Right? I think we should all have loyalty cards.
We
with
all
the
should have
service
loyalty
providers
cards.
that we work with.
Yeah. Or like if you hit a certain spend, you know,
Yeah.
if you always get an appetizer, then you know your 10th one is for, I don't know. I think it's really interesting ways to tier out
Yeah.
what people will pay for, who will do it, but it's also savvy for the restaurant because they do have very they can be seasonal. You know,
Mhm.
my sister works in service, so she's like, it's like January and February, you typically have a lull. You know, you like, then you have these sort of spikes. Sometimes you have parties, sometimes people cancel their reservations. So I think it's like most of us in the supply chain, people are really trying to find consistency.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, my customer might not consistently come once a week, but they consistently pay me once a month. Like, it's a savvy idea.
All right. Well, our last article, we've only got a couple of minutes to talk about this. And this one, so HubSpot decided to write an article about business owners' guide to logistics outsourcing. Now, I highly recommend you guys go and check this out because there's a lot of really good information in this. But then there's also a part of you when you read it is probably going to go, is this really the reality for most supply chain professionals, or at least more for business owners, even small business owners looking at to outsource their logistics? So they're saying that people should outsource their logistics because shopper demand is equaling quality, speed, and convenience. And they're saying that business owners should be focusing on product and marketing. And they make it sound so easy to outsource the logistics to the experts. But is it really? So, Audrey, I'm going to go to you as a supply chain expert and ask you what you thought about this article and if it really is that easy.
I think if that were that easy, like, I wouldn't have this forehead wrinkle. I wouldn't like, this wouldn't be like my third coffee, and like I'd be posting to you from a beach. I think, yeah, I think there's value to outsourcing. I think it's nice. You know, there are a lot of people who are experts at logistics and supply chain. It is a trick to find those people who are experts or who are experts at it. You can't necessarily be that hands off. You know, like ideally you want to be hands off, but still, like, and every once in a while, like a partner who you work with, they might be on a different route. I'm saying this from like this morning's email of like, why has this taken 2.5 weeks to move? Like, what is a 4 or 5 day transit time?
Right.
Where are the goods right now? And like, you know, this is a group who is normally like super reliable, super consistent. And then I was kind of like, wait, where are these? You know? So yeah, I think, yeah, there's benefits and values to it. I don't know that it's as sort of hands off and seamless as the article suggests. So, you know, you certainly have to have some risk management or some monitoring in place, but definitely trying to find the right partnership and build the right relationships. And not everyone in this business can be all things. The people who are doing, you know, ocean shipping are maybe not necessarily the best people to do your last mile delivery. Maybe they are, but there's a lot of, you know, as you said earlier, there's a lot of nuance to this industry, which means there's a lot of pieces that people have to get very good at. And they might not always be the same people. But I see the point, right? Like, if my company's so great at product development and customer service, does it make sense? Yes, for us to also try to be great at.
We also have to keep on top of them. I think it's also a hybrid model, right? So the survey that they quoted in this article, 68% of 3PL users save money and 71% of them says it improved their customer service.
Yeah.
But I still think that there's got to be somebody internally that's managing it and watching it and being a part of that whole process. I don't think you can just outsource it completely. Some of the risks they talked about was tarnished reputation if you pick the wrong partner. Software issues, which I can't remember what they said around that, and data security. Now, if you're a 3PL and you're listening to this, one of the risks of somebody outsourcing to you is data security. You might want to put that on your list of what you talk to your customers about and making sure that you have their data security in mind. Anyways, just quickly before we go, because I didn't realize what time it was, I'm going to be at Home Delivery World, and hopefully Audrey is too, in June 14th and 15th in Philadelphia. What else have we got? We've also got a LinkedIn Live happening April 13th. Now, you're not going to want to miss this because this is the intermodal market trends for 2023. Everything that you need to know to help in your supply chain. So we're going to have the registration page coming up really soon. We want to make sure that you click the attend button. Audrey, thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you, everybody in the audience. And we will see you next week. And next week, I've got Hope from, I think it's Trucking Yoga. And we're going to be talking about all mental health around trucking and being truck drivers and things like that. And it's going to be super, super fun. So we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.